Hello, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there today, but this is my 2023-2024 year in Taiwan, and I'm going to be talking about my favorite lessons. So, my first favorite lesson that I taught this year was Culture Shock, USA versus Taiwan. I taught this grades third through sixth at both schools. So what I first do is I found this YouTuber that I really like, and I actually learned Chinese from her. And she lives in Indiana, so she talks about the first 10 things that she noticed when she came from Taiwan to the US. And it goes over a myriad of things, but I like to focus on how to say hello because a lot of the times our students will say, "Hello, teacher. How are you, teacher?" Or like, "How are you today?" "I am fine, thank you." But we know that no one really talks like this. So I tell them, you'll hear more of one through four more often if you're in the US. And we go over how to express those things and we practice in the classroom. I also like to give like real world examples. So I have the co-teacher help me if she's able to, or I'll do it myself if I'm by myself teaching. And I'll like walk through the door and I'll slam it and I'll say, like, is this okay or not okay? And they'll be like, oh, of course that's not okay. And I'll say, yes, but in Taiwan, that happens to me a lot because Taiwanese don't really look behind them when they're leaving a room or walking into a room. And they're like, oh, you're right. And at Fuchuan, sometimes the homeroom teacher will help explain it to the kids and say, like, we actually don't really look behind us, and this is very interesting. So I think it's a way to have like a conversation while I'm teaching them English. I also go through like summertime, tanning culture, all of those things. Um, I like to include some pedestrian, like new words like this, and I like them to watch videos so they can see what I'm talking about. So in Taiwan, pedestrians don't really have a lot of rights, but in the US, pedestrians, like, I feel like have more rights than cars and bikes and things like that. So then what I like to do is have the Chinese in the back while I'm speaking English. So this way I make sure we're all on the same page so that we can have a more fruitful discussion because if it's completely in English when I'm teaching by myself, it can delay the lesson a little bit. So when I have a co-teacher there, I don't need to do this, but when I'm by myself, this is just a backup precaution for me. Another lesson that I really liked was the Black American Invention lesson that I taught for Black History Month at the National Museum in Taichung City. So I kind of talk about, everyday inventions that we use in America that were created by Black Americans. And I go through like their history, why they're important. I ask them about like, what things do you like the most? And it's really fun because the kids and the families are able to talk about like, oh, I use an ironing board every day, or I use the elevator every day. It's so interesting. Um, then we have an activity where they can make 3D glasses. And after that, we watch this video in 3D, and it's really fun for them because they're like, oh my God, my 3D glasses work. So here's some photos of that activity, and I really enjoyed it, and it was nice to meet all these different families. Next is my American PE lesson. I think this is very interesting for the kids as well. So what I do is I introduce some like light-hearted PE games. This is for all grades except for first and second, just because I only teach this at Fuchuan because it's easier to teach by myself. And at Hulanduan, I was able to teach with fifth grade, so that was really nice. But what I like to do is I play the video and then I have them translate the video to me in Chinese. So when I'm teaching alone, this is kind of the best way for me to do it. And I will pause the video every now and I'll introduce words, like ball, throw, run, stop. And after the whole video is over, I'll call on some students and they'll explain, little by little what the rules of the game are. And if I feel like they have a good understanding, then we go outside and we play. And this is a good way to incorporate listening comprehension, production, and grammar into the game. So they really like it. Here you can see this is at Fuchuan, this is at Hulantuan, and I had a co-teacher with me, so we allowed more time for them to play the game because it went much faster because she was able to translate like just off the cuff. But when I'm by myself, I try and make it a little bit more interactive with the kids. Next is my categories game. I play this at both schools and I play it with all grade levels except for second grade because they can't write yet. Um, this is kind of like the American game, but just the written version. So I go over the categories and I have them split into teams and write. And I have them stand up and move to the back in front of the room. That way I don't have to move around any of the desks. they really enjoy this game. I enjoy this game because I used to play with my friends all the time. And it's really nice just to see them get competitive and try and write as many words as they can. I let them use the textbook and the Bob by Don and the vocabulary list. So they're able to discern what they think fits into the category, and whoever has the most words at the end of the 1 minute, they get the point. So these are some of the categories that I'll give them. Here are some photos. You can see like they're very, very focused in making sure that they can get all of the words down. And you can see like team one and team three. And each time only one person can write. So by the end of the class, everyone has written at least 10 English words. So I think that's a good accomplishment, especially when I'm teaching by myself, because sometimes it's hard to ensure that everyone's participating, but this is a good way to make sure like there's no way no one will be writing or speaking. Next is Mother's Day. This is just a really cute activity for the younger students, so first through third grade. I'm able to introduce these words to them and the concept of, people in your life who aren't necessarily blood related, but, still hold the same love and care for you. And you can make a Mother's Day card for them. It doesn't have to be your mom, it could be a teacher, your aunt, or whatever. So we just have a little activity, and then they draw their cards. It's very cute. And then we have them get up and kind of present what they put on their cards and why. Next is Garth Take Phone. So this is kind of just like a relaxing day activity that I host for sixth and fifth grade because they are allowed to use the iPads. And it's kind of like the telephone game, but it's more digital. And I have like a rule explaining it to them in Chinese. And then what we'll do is like the first round, I'll let them play in Chinese. So write Chinese sentences, things like that. And the second round, I make them write English. So it's really fun just because their drawings are funny. And when they do English, the sentences are hilarious because, the grammar is kind of off, but it still kind of tests them to come up with things off the cuff. Next is my USA versus Taiwanese high school video and presentation. So I don't have the videos like linked in here, but I'll play like a day in the life of an American high school student, like a vlog, and then I'll do a Taiwanese day in the life vlog. And I'll have them watch. This is for fifth and sixth grade as well. And then we just kind of go through these questions, talk about the cultural differences, the way that we dress, having big backpacks all the time, and football culture, sports teams, things like that. And then this is my high school, so I let them know like it's kind of inside. Like American high schools are mostly inside, and you don't really go outside much. Versus in Taiwanese education, you have like all these hallways always. Like you're technically always outside. So that's very interesting for them. Next is for the summertime. I like to play a lot of American TV, so I will let them watch Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It's one of my favorite movies, and I'll teach them some vocabulary from here. Talk about the story. This is for all age ranges, and it's just a very simple lesson, and it's really relaxing for them. And I can sneak in some English at the same time. So, yes, thank you. Again, sorry I couldn't be there. I hope everyone has a great summer.